welcome back to another episode of War with Words. I'm Mick.
I'm Courtney.
And you are watching Tandem Fandom. So as we dive right into this week, I'm going to come out and say it. Both shows, Raw and Nitro this week, sucked.
Yes, July 15th was not a good night for wrestling.
Unfortunately, because, you know, you look at a lot of the things that we do today, and there's criticism for oversaturation, overexposure of stars. I feel like Nitro really suffered because when you look at this card, they had no Sting, no Flair, no Rey Mysterio, no Giant. I'm trying to think if there was any other huge name that was missing, but I think that's about it in terms of the biggest names.
And with all those guys missing, they still didn't debut Glacier.
Yeah, we've been still waiting for weeks.
Didn't debut Glacier.
Where is Glacier?
We got like 4 promos, or 4 vignettes for him, but we still haven't seen him, so I doubt he's ever coming.
Glacier does not exist. He is merely a figment of our imagination at this point. However, on the other side, Raw delivered, in my opinion, pretty heavily with the star power. You had every championship belt holder was in a match on the show, both tag team champions in singles matches against Ahmed Johnson, the Intercontinental Champion, and Shawn Michaels, the World Champion. They're a week out from International Incident. That's huge. That is absolutely huge, I think.
Yeah, bring in the star power for the go home.
Well, and we've kind of given some positives to WCW in the past for having their champions maintain a presence on the show, and they kind of did this because you had the tag champions in the Harlem Heat, and Lex Luger, who apparently is the TV champion. I don't know when the hell that happened.
Yeah, we missed something.
Yeah, I mean, it damn sure didn't happen on Raw, or excuse me, on Nitro.
Right.
Because, with this series, that's all we're really focusing on.
The Monday Night Wars.
And I feel like maybe you guys should have mentioned it at some point in time that he's the TV champion.
Because it didn't happen on Monday Night TV.
No, and I feel like maybe they left that for like their Saturday show to bring some importance there, possibly. I don't know. It just felt weird because he came out with a belt and they were like, TV champion Lex Luger. And we're like, when the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
I've been watching this show for weeks. I didn't see that. That being said, shows on Nitro opened up with, we finally got to see a video of Hogan's big betrayal to WCW.
Yeah. They finally helped us out and didn't berate us for not buying the pay-per-view.
Yeah, although the opening to this show was so similar to the week before that we had legitimate concerns, or at least I did. I thought I picked the week that we just did. I didn't realize it was a new week because of how similar they were.
Not only did it look exactly the same, they were saying the exact same stuff.
Yeah, they brought a Dungeon of Doom at one point during the show, cut a promo, or Kevin Sullivan was, and it was literally the exact same thing he said the week prior, only instead of the Giant standing there, it was Big Bubba standing there. But he said the exact same stuff about, like, we wanted to destroy Hulkamania, that got taken away by him, blah, blah, blah. And it's very weird, I think, to have a heel, and guys who have been heels in the Dungeon of Doom for so long, to... What do we care what you think? You've been trying to kill Hulk Hogan for months. You should be thrilled.
Yeah, that is a weird angle. Like, ooh, we hate him because he ruined himself.
Yeah, and it's like, I get it to a point because you have been invested in these guys being your bad guys for a long time and going after Hogan, so I understand that, like, that's probably how they would feel, like this opportunity was taken from them.
Yeah.
But again, as the audience, I don't give a shit if the Dungeon of Doom's upset.
Oh no, Taskmaster's mad.
Oh, great. Who are you going to jump next week? Like, so short of, like, you're a huge, fan of heels, like, I don't know why you would feel bad for these guys. Like, you would feel betrayed by Hulk Hogan, in theory. You would feel betrayed by Hulk Hogan joining these outsiders, this New World Order, but I don't give a damn what the Dungeon of Doom thinks. I really don't, because it's like, well, you're terrible people. Why would I care?
Right. It was the same old song and dance. Barry Hogan, Barry Hogan, Barry Hogan, Barry Hogan. Hashtag Barry Hogan.
Yeah, and I get that. That makes perfect sense. I do want to point out, when they showed the video, Bobby the Brain Heenan says, as Hogan is walking to the ring to,
from the pay-per-view.
Of course, to betray the Macho Man, and Heenan says, but whose side is he on?
It's like, way to ruin it for everybody, guy.
As far as we know, he's the damn Hulkster. He's gonna save the Macho Man.
He's
Ooh,
coming
yeah.
out in his regular, if he'd come out in like black and white, then you'd be like, whoa, what is happening here?
And he was pointing, and he was very like, like it was clear. It looked like he was coming for the outsiders. He did kind of correct himself fairly quickly, of like, well, yeah, of course he's here for WCW. And it's like, well, why the hell would you? It was just one of those things that like that could have ruined the moment for some people at home.
Like the live television, ooh.
Yeah.
Who would want to do that?
But, we also, another thing that they mentioned the previous week on Nitro was Hulk Hogan will be here, next week. Right. That's what they kept saying last week. It took forever before they said he was actually going to be there. And I think they kept saying, we don't know.
Nah.
They said he was going to be here, but we don't know. So that kind of sucked.
Lo and behold, of course, they save it until the very, 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 very last minute, just like they always have.
Well, and that's fine, because it's like you want to pull them into next week, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, Hall and Nash were up in the audience, like they like to be.
They were changing the big WCW marquees that they had set up at the Disney MGM. To say NWO with like spray painted on bed sheets and like cobbled together with popsicle sticks and like glue. And
so that was good. There was still this looming presence of bad guys.
Well, and they did keep referring to during the show like, well, who's going to join them next? Who's going to join the ranks next?
I feel like they were pushing that a little too much.
I didn't have a problem with it because it's like, I mean, granted, we know people are going to join, but I think
it was always third man, not how many.
Yeah, but at the same time, Hogan was a part of WCW, so I think that's kind of what they're going is like, who else is going to betray the company?
Who else can they recruit out of our own locker room?
Yeah. So in terms of the wrestling, which I'm sure is for you guys the most important part of it, just like for us, some solid matches from Nitro, lacked for the most part in star power. I mean, you had who I consider like next to the Harlem Heat, the two biggest workhorses for Nitro, Steiner Brothers, going against Scott Norton and Ice Train.
Another episode where we get to see both these tag teams wrestle.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
There has yet to be an episode of Nitro that there has not been the presence of a Steiner or one of the Harlem Heat. Yeah. There's been not one episode yet that those guys, not at least one of them, maybe not both, but one of them has been on the show and wrestled.
Absolutely.
It was a fairly solid match. I mean, the Steiners, of course, got the win. I mean, so they started to tease like the breakup of Fire and Ice, teasing them going into a match. Like Teddy Long came down and observed, and he's like, "You guys are a great tag team. I don't want to see you break up." And then of course they argue, and they're like, "We're gonna have a match next week." And it's like, okay.
And they pushed Teddy down.
Aww. Yeah, that was sad.
Poor Teddy.
Whereas on Raw, we got to see just the arrival of the champions, Shawn Michaels and Ahmed Johnson, which are you a fan of the fact that they're apparently the best of friends? Is this Heartbreak Kid and this large, powerful man in Ahmed Johnson?
Two friends.
Two pals hanging around.
They're friendship belts, like friendship bracelets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they show up to meet Camp Cornette, which, in terms of, we talk a lot about being invested in storylines. I find myself struggling to be invested in Camp Cornette. Maybe it's just because it feels bland.
What I really liked, though, and this is a very minor detail, was when Cornette was cutting the promo backstage with his camp. He was standing behind them and talking over their shoulders because he's such a little weaselly bastard.
Which, that's a nice touch.
But, like, he wasn't in the camera like, "Hey, I'm coming to get you." He was like, "These guys."
Yeah, that was a nice touch. But, so one half of the tag team champions, Bart Gunn with Sonny, that opens the show up for Raw against Ahmed Johnson for the Intercontinental Championship. And Ahmed clearly using all the physique enhancer. There was not a drop of baby oil left in Green Bay, Wisconsin after he was done.
So shiny. I don't know how he should have just like
slid to the ring.
Penguin slid to the ring. Down the ramp, just up a ramp. Woo. He could have. Like how how he didn't just shoot off of the ropes. I don't know.
Yeah, this was a fairly solid match. I mean, it was about what you would expect. Bart Gunn being a tag team guy, I feel like it showed. Because I feel like, at least Scott Steiner, Booker T, Stevie Ray, Rick Steiner, on their own, they can hold a pretty solid match, but they are in great tag teams.
Yeah.
Looking at both of the Smoking Guns, at least at this point for their career, yeah, they couldn't really... At least in my opinion, there wasn't anything that I was like, oh, wow, this Bart Gunn's a star in the making. Like,
yeah.
No, it was like, he is very clearly a tag guy, which is not a slight, because he's a great tag guy.
Yeah.
But you're going against a guy who's the IC champ. It just wasn't great. Sunny, I think, added a lot to this from in terms of being on the outside, talking about how she was going to have 2 belts, and she's all excited. And,
yeah.
You know, I think she does a really great job of being that heel manager.
Yeah, she's
and
kind of bopping around. Dee-dee-dee.
yeah, she's good at what she does. Oh, and also, how many damn knee pads does Ahmed Johnson need to wear on his body?
Like outside of his knees, I have like 5.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
And tape.
I'm concerned that maybe he has, and I believe he does, as we'll go through, problems with getting injured constantly.
Well,
so maybe it's like if we kind of wrap him in bubble wrap.
What is a knee pad gonna do on your thigh?
I don't know. I believe he was a football player, so maybe it's kind of like I'm used to a
comfort
pad being
thing,
there.
yeah.
I have no idea. It's weird because it doesn't make. There's no like functional.
I feel like
use.
it's like cutting off the circulation.
Maybe he needs to have it. Maybe he's much like Nash and Hall. He is also cobbled together with popsicle sticks and glue and apparently glitter because. Never was it more obvious that this is indeed a taped program because every guy on this card at some point became covered in glitter.
Yep, from previous Goldust attacks earlier in the tapings.
Yes.
And you just can't sweep that stuff away.
Yeah, it's
Glitter is the herpes of the crafting community. Once you catch it, you cannot get it off.
That's it. You were sparkly forever.
Forever. And Ahmed was beautiful.
He was.
He was like a starry night.
So we again got to see a little bit of follow-up with the Call the 900 number to find out, which was Wildman Mark Miro with Sable going against T.L. Hopper, the wrestling plumber.
Oh boy.
You get every champion on your... in your promotion on this particular Raw, but you get the wrestling plumber as well. That's what you got in 1996, and people think the Social Outcasts are bad.
Right.
So, we got to see a little bit of that because as they're coming out, somebody brings a golden present to Sable, who she promptly throws it on the ground, but it's following up on the possible love triangle, between obsession with Marlena, Goldust, and Sable. So that's kind of cool.
Well, and you're forgetting a very important part of this match. Betsy.
Oh, yes. How could I forget?
The plunger.
The beautiful plunger/manager in the corner of T.L. Hopper. This was okay, match. It was alright. I mean,
it was okay.
Mark Miro's an impressive guy. I mean... At this point, they're starting to get out of the really weird, gimmicky, jobber-type guys like the Goon and Duke the Dumpster Droz. Like, they're starting to transition more away from those guys.
With this guy because his entrance music was toilet flushing.
It was. It was pretty...
It wasn't even music, it was toilet noises.
I mean, he was a solid hand in the ring, but like I said, we're starting to see the transition away. On the other side, again, Glacier promo, he doesn't exist. He's not real. He's simply a figment of our imagination.
Yeah, he's never coming.
He's in Mortal Kombat, apparently, because
he's been called to the nether realm.
He is battling Shao Kahn and cannot debut in WCW because of it. But we did get a really solid match in Billy Kidman against Dean Malenko.
Yes.
If there was a possibility that a man could have negative charisma, that man would be Dean Malenko. Yes. I love... Look, Dean Malenko is one of the greatest professional wrestlers to ever lace up his boots. The man has zero personality, though. When he comes out and he's speaking himself in third person, he's just like, Dean Malenko, gonna go out, 4 horsemen. Chris Benoit, the Iceman. Like, that was almost word for word what he said.
It's like he traded his personality for more wrestling ability.
Because, good God, the man has such a great... If Dean Malenko had, like... Okay, if you took a pinch of the kind of personality that, like, Eddie Guerrero or Chris Jericho had, and you gave it to Dean Malenko, he would be the greatest wrestler in the history of the business. He would be better than Shawn Michaels. Like, he really would, because he is just so gifted in the ring. Great compliment with Billy Kidman, super young in his career. This is before he fell on hard times and got addicted to heroin, and then joined Raven and the Raven's Nest. But that's down the line. Right now, this young, fresh-faced kid, Billy Kidman, he's got the world ahead of him.
He looked like a kid.
He did.
He was so small.
This was a solid match. Of course, Dean wins, Texas Cloverleaf. There's no question about that. We got to see, and oh boy, am I... so sick of Kevin Green. Go away!
Go home!
We're so tired of you!
You're not even in South Carolina anymore.
Why are you on
or North Carolina.
My channel?
You're in Florida. Nobody wants you there.
Nobody cares. Well, that was the thing, too. Like, Deborah was insulted later on when, like, her and Mongo came out to cut promo. Deborah's insulting the Carolina Panthers, and it's like, they're in Orlando. Nobody gives a damn about the Panthers in Orlando, Florida.
And in classic Deborah style, she's just like, what is a panther? And I'm like, it's a fucking cat.
It's a large jungle cat, lady.
Is it like a symphony?
Yeah,
those weren't words. Sorry, everybody.
In any case,
that's what I hear. I don't know what she's saying. That's what I hear. Is
so Kevin Green cuts a promo on Hulk Hogan talking about, like, I looked up to Hulk Hogan growing up.
I took my vitamins. I said my prayers.
And at this point, I'm kind of like, I think Kevin Green's like 4 or 5 years younger than Hulk. Maybe. So...
He's an adult
man. You're a grown man. And granted, I'm a grown man, and I love pro wrestling, but he was like, growing up, I looked up to Hulk Hogan. I took my vitamins. I said, I'm like...
You might be the same age.
I'm pretty sure you're the same age as Hulk Hogan at this point. Which is fine. Hey, man, if that's how you get down, that's how you get down. But he's... You know, I'm interested to see what the payoff is with the consistent use of Kevin Green. Because I kind of thought that was it. I thought the end of the Mongo story was it. I would like to point out, my wish was finally granted. John Tenta and the Dungeon of Doom did not interact on this show. There was no John Tenta on the show whatsoever. I think it's over. I hope it's over. I don't know.
Because it wasn't over.
Yeah. So our 900 number this week was something that we didn't care about at all, because it was Cornette's plan to destroy the confidence of Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
All right. I'm definitely not paying $1.
Well, A, whatever. B, if it's Cornette on the phone, no, I am not putting that to my ear. I value my hearing.
Yeah. And look, I feel like we're really beating these shows up this week. Because there's more negativity on this episode than there's been on the entire channel. For that, I apologize. We try and be relatively positive people, but it was really bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
And, you know, the only thing that really saved it was getting to see, again, the workhorses out there saving this show from being a complete dumpster fire. The Harlem Heat against Rough and Ready of Dirty Dick Slater and Mean Mike Enos. I think it's Mean Mike Enos. Might just be Mike Enos. But, again, Harlem Heat's fantastic. They had solid opponents.
They cut a promo on them before saying they weren't rough and they weren't ready.
Sucker!
I was like, yeah!
Yeah!
Wait.
So, you know, this was a solid match. We're getting to kind of see some interesting things with Sister Sherry and Colonel Hopper. So I'm interested to see kind of the destination that they want to do with that. But
were they heels before they got involved with
Country
Manager Man?
Yeah, they were.
Okay,
they've been
Sister
heels.
Sherry was obviously... Like, they're obviously going that way if they weren't already.
Yeah.
What the, she kissed one to Rough and Ready.
Yeah, so it's an
distract.
interesting thing. Although I want to give props to Nitro. We saw the first women's match that we have seen on either program.
I was gonna ask you that. I was like, has there been women's wrestling?
There has not.
Yet?
The only women we have seen have all been valets or managers. There's yet to be women wrestling on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, it's...
And it was a good match against Medusa.
Yeah, Medusa and Osaka, who had been brought to the company by Sonny Ono,
right.
who was a manager, but it's...
Because...
Zbyszko
with
he strikes again.
With his women comments, oh my goodness, because Sonny Ono brought her to the promotion because he couldn't keep her in the kitchen. Quotes. That is in quotes. And they kept saying the Orient. Is this the 50s?
Apparently. So it was a solid match, but it's kind of sad at the same time when you look at how Medusa came back into WCW with dropping the women's title in the garbage.
Right.
And this is the first we've seen of her, at least through this series so far. And you're just kind of like, wow, what happened to the momentum? Like, what? You guys could have really done a lot of interesting things. And I guess the idea would be, like, in 1996, at least in America, women's wrestling wasn't a big deal, really. I mean, like, it was definitely a bigger deal in Japan, which is why I think she was working against a Japanese talent, leading to a match with Bull Nakano at Hog Wild.
Wow.
So...
And the America...
Right, yeah, what is it? The winner gets to destroy the loser's motorcycle?
Ah.
Yeah, that's what's on the line for this match. We also got to see, and this was the match that kind of...
Tough women ride motorcycles.
Yeah. right. So this brought us to our top of the hour match, which is Ming against Arn Anderson. I love this match. This was solid. This is great. It's everything that you'd expect from these two guys.
Yeah, it was good. It was good, solid wrestling, which was nice to see. The second hour topped off in the middle of the match, so not only did you get wrestling, you got fireworks.
Yeah, which was really weird.
That's so strange when it syncs up like that.
Over on Raw, you got to see the second half of the tag champions, Billy Gunn against HBK himself, Shawn Michaels, with Sonny. They did a really cool little juvenile diabetes kind of video where they showed Shawn at like a tennis tournament with that, and the kids are like beating his ass with tennis balls. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get back in the ring where it's safe."
Pelting him with tennis balls.
Yeah, but it was a pretty great match. I mean, again, Shawn Michaels showing why at this point he's the absolute best in the business because he could go out.
The face of the company.
Yeah, he goes out. He has an amazing match with Billy Gunn. Does a kiss spot with Sonny twice. Grabs her, kisses her, which is even funnier if you believe the backstage talk that him and Sonny were an item at the time.
Ooh, scandalous.
Oh, there was this amazing Undertaker vignette that they promised us the week before, but didn't show us. They showed us this week. It was awesome.
It was really cool.
With the light from the urn shining around.
That was so cool. I'm going to have to go back and find that, because I love Paul Bearer, and I love the whole urn gimmick, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
I'm marked out.
So this was a solid
20 years later, I'm marked out.
Yeah, this was a solid match, you know, the end of which HBK and Ahmed Johnson are leaving. I believe they were chasing Jim Cornette out of the locker room. Go to the park.
Yeah, because he was all like,
"Oh yeah,
you can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man."
And they go to the parking lot. Of course, Camp Cornette's waiting, but who gets to roll up in the biggest Lincoln known to man? But Psycho Sid.
Tears out of the car, tears their asses up.
The master,
like this big,
of the world.
The world.
So that happened. Back over on Nitro, we got what I thought was the match of the night in Chris Benoit against Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero.
How can you go wrong with these two guys?
This was so good, and I mean, when you look at this and you know that one day these two men both are world champions in the same night at WrestleMania, you know, seeing their matches there and seeing the moment they shared there and being able to look back and see this performance, it's just like, man, these guys really were something special.
Yeah, they had it from the get-go.
Yeah, so it was a fantastic match. Dean Malenko came down. There was a little bit of a, like, he grabs Benoit, throws him into the or I think he hit him. I don't believe he threw him into any. No, he did. He bounced him off the post.
Yeah.
And so he leaves, but of course this leads to Benoit getting counted out, so Eddie gets the win. Solid match, though.
Yeah, that match of the night, I think.
Yeah, it went, and they gave him a lot of time. Well, a lot like Ming and Arn got a good bit of time.
They got a lot of time. I feel like that match went on forever.
Well, I think it's just because, like we said, just the lack of star power that they had for this show.
Well, Sting was in Japan.
Yeah, which is like, alright, that's...
He wishes he could be here, but he's in Japan. He can't be here.
It's like, well, there's literally no reason why he couldn't have been here. You sent him to Japan.
Can't or won't?
Won't. No. Our main event, and oh boy, the main event of the evening was Big Bubba with Jimmy Hart against the TV champion Lex Luger. I don't believe it was for the title.
No.
I think they were just like, he is the TV champion. Of course, you see Nash and Hall pull up in a limo, get out of the limo, they're chilling. Hall looking like a freak of nature.
So slow.
You know, Kevin Nash just looking like the coolest guy in the room. And they're hanging out, and of course...
Being the cool kids, you know.
Yes, I'm just going to lean against the car here. That's what I'm going to do. Whatever.
I don't want to drink this Coke out of a paper bag.
So eventually, of course, they interfere. They're beating down Luger, and the question is, are they? You know, because Big Bubba's like, yeah, and so they're like, is Big Bubba going to be the next guy to join this NWO? Of course, they beat his ass down too. Yeah. The Hulkster brother, he comes down, and we finally, after the past 2 weeks of listening to the entire locker room bury the man, he finally gets to answer for his actions, and he cuts almost the identical promo that he did at Bash at the Beach.
Like, exact same body language and everything, brother.
Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene, brother Jack dude. It's one of those things that, like, if you've watched a lot of the specials that WWE's put out on the formation of the NWO, and their Monday Night Wars series, Nash and Hall talk about they had to kind of rein Hogan in a little bit and be like, be more real, you don't make this pro wrestling. This promo was before, I guess, they got in his ear, because it was straight up like, well, let me tell you something, Mean
like
Gene.
an AWA logo on the back.
Pretty much, like, it was just a classic, like, Hogan promo, just heel instead of babyface.
And he was keeping tight to the camera, even though it was a wide shot of the ring.
Well, these people, Mean Gene.
And Hall and Nash are walking around like...
They didn't give a damn! They were just like... Like, it's almost like they were making fun of the situation. Like, that's how it came. They were one spooky finger away from it just degenerating into them laughing at Hogan.
People started throwing their drinks and stuff, and so they were just like kicking the drinks.
They were like, when do we get to leave so I can get a B-E-R?
Heckling some guys.
That's right, I spelled beer with one E, because I don't even care. There's the other E at the end of care.
Boom.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they act, though. Like, and I think that's one of the things that gets me most excited is just seeing how they act as compared to how literally everyone else acts, because it's so different.
Yeah.
They don't act like the Dungeon of Doom, and they don't act like even some of the people we see on Raw. They are not cartoon characters. So it's so cool because we're like right there at the biggest pivotal moment of the business where it all changes. So it's very exciting.
Yep.
Hogan, of course, with his promo, calls out the Giant for the championship. So we got that to look forward to. Hog Wild, the Giant, Hulk Hogan for the title.
Hog Wild.
Well, guys, I think that about wraps us up for this week.
I think this week we're in agreement.
Raw, it was all the championship belts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This was it, and really it was like, choose, do you want to get stabbed or do you want to get shot? So, Raw for this week.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Were we too harsh on the show? Did we beat it up too much, or did it deserve even more?
Or did it need more?
Like, subscribe, share the video. Be sure to check out all the other wonderful series that we have up and do
on our channel
each and every week.
Yeah. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
As we always say here on Tandem Fandom, if you're going to be a fan,
Bring a friend.
brother.
Bye.